Well, viewers, it was Prime Minister Modi's first bilateral with the 47th, President of the United States, Donald Trump, in his third term. Well, this, of course, was a meeting of two world leaders who are expected to play a very critical role in the new world order. It was a display of bonhomie and camaraderie between the two leaders as Prime Minister Modi arrived at the White House earlier today. So as the Prime Minister arrived, he was gifted a coffee table book by the U.S. President Donald Trump. This book was titled Our Journey Together and also had an inscription, Mr. Prime Minister, you're great. This was signed by U.S. President Donald Trump. In fact, the book that you can see the pictures of had pictures of both the leaders together and includes the events Howdy Modi and Namaste Trump. In fact, the meeting between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi focused on several critical issues that concern both our nations as well as the regional stability and security of the Indo-Pacific. As the duo addressed the media after the meeting, they made it very clear that both the nations aspire to hit the $500 billion trade mark by the year 2020. In fact, India and US are looking to secure a deal of F-35 stealth jets very soon, which could be a big fillip to India's defense sector. In fact, the US President also confirmed that efforts are on to extradite the 2611 plotter, Tahavur Hussain Rana, and both the nations will be cooperating in their bid to combat terrorism. In fact, U.S. President Donald Trump has also vowed to impose reciprocal tariffs. Here are some of the highlights of what really transpired in the big bilateral.
जब अमेरिका और भारत साथ मिलकर काम करते हैं, यानी मागा प्लस मीगा, तब बन जाता है मेगा पार्टनरशिप फॉर प्रॉस्पेरिटी। इसरो और नासा के आपसी सहयोग से बनाई निसार सैटेलाइट शीघ्र ही भारतीय लॉन्च व्हीकल पर अंतरिक्ष की उड़ान भरेगी। आज हमने द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 बिलियन तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। अमेरिका और भारत मिलकर के हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए ताकि ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग बंद हो।
Anywhere in the world, they've been very strong on tariffs, and I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very hard to sell into India because they have trade barriers, very strong tariffs. We are right now a reciprocal nation. We are going to, if it's India or if it's somebody else with low tariffs, we're going to have the same. We're going to have whatever India charges, we're charging them. Whatever another country charges, we're charging them. So it's called reciprocal, which I think is a very fair. As you said, we're giving a very violent man, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know that he's been convicted yet or will be, but let's assume he's a pretty violent person. We're giving him back to India immediately, and there are more to follow because we have quite a few requests. So we work with India on crime. Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters.
Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay?
Well, it's nice to see these light-hearted moments, isn't it? Now, one of the key issues, of course, discussed by both the leaders is the issue of immigration. Well, remember the deportation of 104 illegal Indian immigrants just days earlier had emphasized Donald Trump's strong stand on illegal immigration. But more importantly, this tough stand has also raised concern over legal immigration, especially when it comes to the H-1B visa. So speaking on the issue of illegal immigration, Prime Minister has said that this remains a global issue as many innocent people are being lured by big dreams. Prime Minister Modi also assured that India will take back the verified illegal immigrants and will be protecting the poor from exploitation and human trafficking. Listen in to what the Prime Minister said.
जहां तक भारत और अमेरिका का सवाल है, हमने हमेशा कहा है कि जो वेरीफाइड होगा, कि जो सच्चे अर्थ में भारत का ही नागरिक होगा, वो अगर अमेरिका में गैर कानूनी तरीके से रहता है तो उसको वापस लेने के लिए भारत तैयार है। ये सामान्य परिवारों के बच्चे होते हैं, उनको बड़े बड़े सपने दिखाए जाते हैं और उनको ज्यादातर ऐसे होते हैं उनको गुमराह करके लाया जाता है और इसलिए ये ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग में जुड़े हुए पूरे इकोसिस्टम पर हमने वार करना चाहिए और अमेरिका और भारत मिलकर के हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए।
Yes, it did figure during the discussions today, and the Prime Minister said, as I think he mentioned during the press conference as well, and during the discussions also he said that India has made its stand very clear that if there are illegal immigrants proven to be Indian citizens in any country abroad, we will take them back. But he did emphasize, and again I think he referred to this in his remarks at the press conference, but even during the discussions, he did emphasize that the return of illegal immigrants is not the end of the story. There is an ecosystem that thrives on this racket and that promotes and enables this racket. And it is the responsibility of both countries to do something about this.
So let's also explain to you why is it so important, not just for India, but US as well, to ensure that the two nations continue with their strong historic ties. Well, let's break it down for you in forms of numbers. There are 5.4 million Indian Americans as of 2024 in America. That is the size of the diaspora. Not just that, there are 1.47% Indian Americans in the US population. So essentially, Indian Americans make up for 1.4% of America as well, which also means that they have a huge sway in the voter patterns as well. But also what's important is that 2/3 of them are first-generation immigrants. Then there are, of course, those could be the second-generation immigrants and children of the immigrants who are already American citizens. So the entire size of the diaspora itself is quite massive in America, which is why it's important that both the nations cooperate. Meanwhile, let's also get your report. Remember, Times Now has been reporting for you live from Washington. Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan gets you this report and he breaks it down for us as to why, when it comes specifically to the immigration question, it has been a pretty good win for India.
While the word H-1B visa has not been mentioned in the joint statement specifically, but there is a very important mention of this issue. And they have said that they are committed to streamlining avenues for legal mobility of students and professionals and facilitating short-term tourist and business travel, while also aggressively addressing illegal immigration and human trafficking. And in fact, at that bilateral meeting, the Prime Minister had indicated that while India is firmly committed to taking back its citizens, if it is indeed proved that they are from India and no country would support illegal immigration, India certainly doesn't, the issue does not stop there. Illegal immigration is also caused by a certain ecosystem that often cheats the poorest in a country, and they are given false promises which lure them into such illegal illegal immigration rackets. There's a need for both countries to work together to crack down on this entire ecosystem. However, the very fact that legal immigration and education avenues have been spoken about in no uncertain terms very clearly indicates the fact that H-1B visas, an issue which has been very hotly contested here in the United States, will continue, and certainly those programs are not likely to be impacted, is the inference that we can draw from this particular statement.